specifically sees to the implementation of the provincial energy plan. As introduced by Ilaria, in this panel, we will focus on challenges and possible solutions for hydrogen from the viewpoint of know-how and skills. We have here speakers who represent the supply chain, and we have university, businesses, since we have several stakeholders and in this long-term vision. The professions that are going to be needed in the hydrogen supply chain go from the utility manager, data scientist, data analyst, the designers, the technical engineers, certificators, certifiers, and all of those who are going to be needed in the research and development part, which means that with our four guests, we will see how we will match supply and demand in research and development and businesses to the benefit of the hydrogen supply chain, which is being built. So much so that we have to keep in mind that this development will take 10, 15 years from now. We should also focus on the academic pathway needed and then the training at the workplace, which is the scenario which opens up also in terms of education and training. This is going to be addressed by our panelists. I have a few questions to the panelists, and of course we will try and build an answer together. I would like to ask Mr. Taccani from the University of Trieste what his view of this is, since you see students every day, how university education is doing in relation to what is needed in terms of education and training from hydrogen. And I am an engineer, and so you are also an engineer, I know, so you have the right question to ask whether engineering graduates are ready to meet this challenge. Well, I would like to start from what we are witnessing over these very days at universities in terms of assisting businesses in the energy transition process. I showed to you an electrolyzer in Trieste earlier on, and there university contributed heavily to the making of this plant. And that is one element. A second element is that we, as a university, need to be neutral when it comes to energy transition. Of course, hydrogen is important, but we have to be neutral and consider all possible opportunities. We need profiles and vertical skills and competencies in a number of sectors. I think of data analysis, which is of paramount importance. Then that is needed in order to know how to run these plants after building them. Earlier on, I mentioned one key element here, which is energy efficiency of the hydrogen supply chain. It is also a criticality, and it has an impact on production cost, of course. And I'm talking about efficiency. The topic of efficiency has to be approached holistically. You need vertical competence about the electrochemical part. And from this viewpoint, the engineers who will work in this sector are in small numbers. Then there are other profiles which require overarching competencies in several sectors. In this respect, the region is getting active, and a new bachelor course in industrial engineering was started, and then a master course in English, which is called Engineering for Energy Transition. So we are trying to work on curricula which can be used to educate and train the right professional profiles. There is yet another element which I would like to mention, and it is the following. We need to raise awareness among our students about these topics. We need to be proactive because they are also users of energy. And we are, as a matter of fact, seeing that the number of people enrolling in STEM courses at university is decreasing. We would need more engineers that we manage to educate at university. And again, our region is trying to make university courses more attractive by reviewing things, refurbishing research labs, and so on and so forth. So major investments have been made in the past years in order to have laboratory activities come to the fore. And that was something that we were missing earlier on. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Now I will continue with Professor Prada from the University of Trento in order to further analyze the topics raised by Professor Taccani. The University of Trento and Bolzano do have courses that educate students who immediately find a job after finishing their studies. And a recruitment day was set up as an initiative to introduce students to businesses and also energy utilities. Professor Taccani has talked about verticality. It is a much debated topic at university in general. Do you think that we could have a further hybridization of university courses whereby this topic is focused on, for instance, towards the end of the course, or should we work more on the fundamentals at the very beginning of an engineering course? Thank you very much for your question. I see a number of former students present, and I'm very happy to see them. The goal of the career day that we have established is twofold. On the one hand, we want to connect students and businesses so that we can make our students visible to businesses early on. And we also want to show our students possible practical jobs and tasks that they will perform after finishing studying. We are focusing on the synergy between university and businesses. We believe that this is of paramount importance. Getting to know each other, knowledge based on a practical approach is fundamental. A theoretical approach is not sufficient, not any longer. So we believe that if the theoretical approach is continued, of course, this will give a solid fundamentals to our university students so that they can adjust and adapt to changes which are constantly taking place in the energy sector. So they must continue. It is clear that we are in a transition phase. And in this transition phase, the issues that we witness today are going to change in a few years' time. This is the reason why it is important that there are solid theoretical fundamentals so that they can, again, adjust and update in the future. But, as I said, theory is not sufficient per se, because when you finish studying, if you only learn something theoretically, you have no practical knowledge of what you're going to do, which means that we need to have a synergy with businesses. This synergy includes internships, for instance, in businesses, and also addressing issues put forward by the businesses at the university course. This will make our students more capable of being problem solvers, and they will be ready after completing their studies to enter the job market, the labor market. We started with this approach 2 years ago. At present, 35 to 40% of our former students, of our students do internships, sorry, not former students, but students do internships in businesses, so they accept this opportunity.
So we go on with engineer Silvia Di Rosa, because in terms of the competencies necessary for hydrogen, also your association will have an important role. So what can be the role of the Engineers Association or of Fondazione Luigi Negrelli in training these engineers for the future in a situation where these skills will have to be very flexible? Thank you, Sara. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. I represent the Association of Engineers. I'm the president of the engineers of the province of Trento, and I also have a role at a national level because I'm the president of Italian's presidents, so 106 presidents of engineers associations get together in a single assembly. Now, a couple of weeks ago, during the national conference, I talked with some colleagues about this presentation today. And a topic that we all share is related to the fact that often engineering universities are a bit separated from the real needs of the market. The sector of environmental, civil engineering, industrial engineering, and IT engineering. Very often they are separated, disconnected, because there are some departments which are too much focused on themselves, and they do not look at the context, at the general context. We are a virtuous situation here in Trento because we participate in the university, and so we have a continuous exchange with the university. Now, the market for engineers can be for example, a job as an officer of a public entity or freelance professionals. Now, after that, I would like to say that it is important to develop lines within the university course. So to create apprenticeships both at professional offices and also in companies. We have a framework agreement with the university whereby we can give training by the already working engineers. So we have such a framework agreement. We have been organizing training activities for students and now for 4 years. And these meetings are very stimulating for us and also for students. So what I want to say is that we have to work together, and we engineers are obliged to continuous education and training. So as soon as we start to work, we are required to continuously be trained and in line with the requirements of education. And we, as engineers, we organize training for our members by means of Fondazione Negrelli, which is made just to provide training and education. And then we have some specific courses where our engineers can participate. And then we have a commission, which is the so-called Sustainability Commission, which deals with the subjects related to conscious design and engineering, as we call it. Thank you for your answer. I'd like to conclude with Dr. Massari, because training will continue to have a very important role, because companies are increasingly investing in skills and competencies and continuous training, and also in various projects of research. So what are the specific requirements, in your opinion, for an engineer working in the hydrogen sector? Thank you so much, and many thanks for the invitation. Well, the issue of skills and competencies is a strategic and complex issue that organizations have to face. It is complex because clearly behind competencies there are people with their strengths, with their weaknesses, and people that sometimes as complex as a hydrogen system. And then if we think that the only constant element in our times is the need to continuously change and be in line with this continuous change, we can imagine what are the challenges that complex organizations have to tackle and face in order to get the right skills and competencies in order to achieve their business objectives. Now, we are speaking about hydrogen. We're speaking about innovation in general, because then the issue is closely related to innovation in general. And clearly, what is most important is the specific technical skills which are required, and these are provided for by universities and schools, and for us, of course, that is very important. Now, what type of strategy do we have in our organization in order to look for these skills? Well, certainly, continuous training courses and continuous freshen up of skills, and then investment in upskilling strategies, because we have a large number of people who have been with us for many years. The average age in Gruppo Dolomiti Energia is 45 years. So we need to offer updating to all these people. And then there is the network, which is very important. We have contacts with the various institutions, with the university, and thanks to that, we have been implementing projects that probably we wouldn't have been able to implement on our own, because upskilling and reskilling courses are long courses, and certainly the network synergies are a fundamental value for us. However, I think that the real challenge that an organization like mine needs to tackle has to do with change management, which has to be activated so that our organizations are ready to accept changes and even produce changes. So we need to work on across the board skills which facilitate change and innovation. And these skills should go hand in hand with the higher skills such as work group flexibility, complex thinking, the ability to manage complex situations, self-awareness. And these are all skills and competencies which for us are fundamental. And these are the competencies that we look for in the labor market when we need to recruit new people, even before technical skills. Why are these competencies so important? Well, they are important because they are really very important for our companies and help us stop looking at the past and help us have a look at the future and the future possibilities. So this is the real challenge, the inclusion of people who become facilitators of change. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'll take 5 minutes from the coffee break, because I think that it would be important to connect your 4 comments, because the issue of competencies and skills is very important in the area of transition, in the area of connections between universities, companies, provincial entities, because also yesterday with Confindustria we spoke about that. Well, the word that has been most repeated in your speeches and in your comments is how to guide change processes. And the main word that we need to implement is flexibility, adaptability to hydrogen, but also to other technologies. So I think that the contribution given by universities and other entities will continue to be fundamental, so that an engineer can be able to change and adapt. And then synergy is another word that you all mentioned, synergy and flexibility. Well, the combination between these 2 notions can promote progressive growth and change. Well, my job is to look at future scenarios, but then those projects have to be implemented, and perhaps they will be modified many times. So we need to look at those changes and be aware of those changes. So I'd like to conclude and say that training and education should be a long path. You never stop learning. You start with university, you go on with the associations, or you go on with the companies, with a continuous growth. And then, and I'm closing, the soft skills become the key element. we can move from fluids to dynamics or thermophysics because we have the ability to adapt to a context which requires great flexibility and adaptability. Otherwise, we remain too vertical, and this is bad not only for hydrogen but for other technologies as well. Thank you. So we now go for a coffee. Thank you.
Vi posso solamente dire una cosa? Velocissima. Troverete, mentre